All right, y'all. To start this episode of the Married to Medicine review, I think it's important that we start with a little definition of what it means to be bipolar. Now, if you saw the episode, you might be wondering, Richie, what are you talking about? Why are we talking about bipolar disorder? Well, I will tell you in 1 second. But I just kind of wanted to refresh anyone's memory in case anybody did not remember what the exact definition was so that we can discuss it in the context of just a little bit of tea. Bipolar disorder, according to Google and the National Institute of Mental Health.gov, bipolar disorder, formerly called manic depressive illness or manic depression, is a mental illness that causes unusual shifts in a person's mood, energy, activity levels, and concentration. These shifts can make it difficult to carry out day to day tasks. So it's important to note that it is a mental illness and it causes unusual shifts in a person's mood, energy, activity levels, and concentration. Just wanted to provide clarification for anybody out there who may be a little confused. So let's talk about, why are we bringing this up? Why are we talking about this? Oh, I don't know. Just because maybe one of the cast members is referring to somebody as bipolar. So Dr. Heavenly tweeted this out. She says, I have watched the next 5 episodes of Married to Medicine, and may I say, well done. Hand clap emoji ×5. We have what you want and what you need, in the words of Sweet Tea. Okay, Sweet Tisha. Okay. And I can't wait for you guys to see. Thank you all for supporting us. So 5 episodes left. I don't know if this was one of the 5 or if it's just 4 left. I don't know. I would assume that it's probably 5 episodes left because this was episode 10. So I'm assuming they'll probably have 15 episodes. I think that's typical for Married to Medicine. And then it says, Toya has responded and says, the other day you were saying we needed other people back on the show. ... Are you bipolar? And then she tags Carlos King, #Married to Medicine. So my question was, I'm assuming she was talking about Dr. Heavenly and not Carlos, who was, I think both of them are from Detroit. Are they not? Are they not? Are they not? Okay. So Toya, who are you talking about? Number one. That's my first question. My second question is, do you think that bipolar was the correct term to use? Because, I think what we have learned in this day and age is, do we really want to play with the mental illness terms when we're trying to read somebody? I don't think we do. Okay. Carlos had to get on Dr. Heavenly about using an R word in her live. This is some good, delicious tea. So, yeah, do we really want to be using that terminology in this day and age? I mean, um, and then third, girl, what you doing watching her podcast? My general sentiment is that the ladies, a la Dr. Simone and them, don't like it that Dr. Heavenly is on the YouTube spitting the tea, but it seems to me like they are forever keeping tabs on it. So in my mind, I'm like, I feel like Toya should be so busy living the fabulous luxury life that why does she even have the time to even notice any of these things? No, whining and dining and things like that, and complaining about Dr. Eugene. I digress. Let's talk about the episode, shall we? Okay, so I'm going to give this episode an 8.9. I thought it was actually pretty entertaining. I thought it definitely had some good moments. I did leave with quite a few observations. Dr. Simone woke up, okay? Um, she's been asleep, I think. Well, she ain't been asleep. She's been, doing interviews, talking about the bloggers and all the things. Um, and she did lead the crusade against Quad. So, Campus Crusade against Quad. That's what we'll call it. The Campus Crusade. Ooh, that is funny for a lot of reasons. One day I'm gonna tell y'all a story. How the people from the Campus Crusade for came to get me in my room one time. And when I was in undergrad, oh Lord, baby, the stories. But I digress. I'm not gonna digress that much. Honestly, I might, because it's the afternoon. I done worked my butt off today, and now we're gonna have a little fun. Okay. So if you come here for the hit it and quit it, no, we don't play like that. Me love you long time. Anyway, the other thing I thought about was in this episode, Phaedra, where is she? Phaedra, wherefore art thou? Oh, she in the trader's house. Okay, that's probably where she be spending her time, because it ain't on Married to Medicine. I'm actually convinced that Phaedra's role on Married to Medicine is just to look fabulous in a wig. I'm convinced, because I'm watching her on Traders and I'm loving every minute of it. Okay, and I watch her check in and clock in part time on Married to Medicine. She work about as many hours as Dr. Heavenly work in the dentist office. Don't Dr. Heavenly only work a couple of days a week? Listen, that's not a read or shade. That is the life. Okay, that's the life I'm trying to live. Phaedra clock in for a couple of hours, come shimmy in her blonde wig and shimmy on out, not making a bit of a dent in the story, not giving a bit of intel on what she got going on in her life, not giving a bit of personal story, not giving a bit of care about anything. Okay, we might need Quad back so she can do some more funeralizing and things like that. Have pop-up shops with Quad. She could just take Quad around and have her pop up out of a coffin. You know what I'm saying? Sales down to the Willie Watkins might be off the chain if they go into a partnership together. But anyway, the other thing I learned a couple of things. Okay. I will say, did I mention Dr. Simone was the MVP of the episode because she was busy. All right, she was busy working it and being seen. I did learn that when women have a lot of testosterone, that it makes the CLIT bigger. Now I don't, I, I mean, things you learn watching Married to Medicine. I was, I mean, how big can it get? Okay, so I learned that Toya likes Topo Chico. Okay, that's sparkling water. For those of you guys who don't know, I love me some sparkling water. And I learned quite a bit about Ozempic. All right. And I have to give this show props for tackling the Ozempic conversation, because there are lots of conversations around the country happening right at this very minute about the use of Ozempic and smolbutide or smolbutide or tumultuous, surreptitious, something you're injecting or taking. I don't know. Who knows? All I know is that you lose weight and the people be snatched. Okay, they be coming around looking thin as they ever been, and and you ain't seen them work out in not one iota. Okay, but my thought is this: I have told you guys time and time again, whatever you desire to use on your body to make yourself look better and make yourself feel better, as long as you are not hurting yourself or nobody else, I am all for it. Okay. If you want to be, if you don't want to waste, if you want your waist to be this big, I'm happy with it. You know what I'm saying? Good for you. You can squeeze in between the underneath the door, when it's closed. So, hey, let's get it popping. All right. Anyway, the first thing that we noticed in this episode is Toya and Simone meets for drinks. And, Dr. Simone is stressed. She had a long, hard day at work. Meanwhile, Toya don't want to hear nothing about her long, hard day. Toya just want to drink and complain about her stuff. And besides, I'm pretty sure Toya is tired from all that tennis. I'm not mad at Toya's life. Listen, if you can, okay, I want you all to live the softest life that you possibly can. You understand what I'm saying? And when I see somebody out there living a soft life, I then know, thank you, Toya. It is possible. Okay. It is the possible. All right. Now, anyway, um, Dr. Simone, they talk about Dr. Eugene, and I forget in what sense they're talking about him initially, but it boils down to Dr. Simone trying to tell Toya, that she needs to learn how to evolve and kind of almost meet, Dr. Eugene halfway. And, you know, Toya is asking that he reestablish the romance and the fun. And at that moment, before she said even more, I was like, Toya, are you clear on what romance and fun means to you so that you can appropriately identify things that you would like to have done? And she does mention, she says, he needs to ask her out, which at least we saw him do last week. But I think what she means is ask her out to somewhere fabulous and famous and fun. Okay. What I mean by that is, it needs to be a five-star restaurante. They needs to have only Moet and Beauvais and Cristal or whatever the people drinks. Because we're not drinking the Wycliffe or the Andre. Now, if he took us someplace that they were serving the Andre, now I understand why you upset, Toya, because I would be mad too. I told y'all earlier today that it gives me the headaches. Okay. Anyway. Andre and Wycliffe, y'all should really consider making a top shelf version of your brand. Okay. Otherwise, it's to me down there with the Auburn Mist. So so yeah, I mean, it's got to be all of the things for her. So Dr. Simone is like, well, girl, why don't you plan some stuff? I mean, Toya says, well, he used to take her out on dates and enlighten her. Girl, was this before y'all had all these tax issues? And I ain't want to talk, baby, because I understand the tax issue. Okay. I guarantee you most of us do. But my thought is this. I mean, for all the things that you want, the new houses, the living the lap of luxury that you want, the vacations and all of the things, somebody got to work. Okay. And I am not saying that she does not deserve whatever she wants in life. But what I am saying is that maybe giving him a little grace so that when he does do these things, that he is not afraid to do them, because she is going to complain the entire time because it's not quite what she would want or the way she would do it. And I'm like, girl, if you want it the way you want it done, why don't you do it? Let me give you an example. Okay. When it's time to plan a trip, I'm just going to have a real moment with y'all. I book the flights. Okay. 9 times out of 10, I'm going to book up the flights. Do you know why? Because I like to sit in the business class. Okay. You can call me bougie. You can call me what you want, but you won't call me uncomfortable and cramped. Okay. I am 6'3". Do you know that it'll be knees to my face if I'm sitting down for a 6 to 9 hour flight, cross the seas, cross the borders. Okay. And my knees will be up here. All right. And the person in front of me is going to lean back. So now I'm like this. All right. It's just mad uncomfortable. So because I know what I like, I go ahead and take the initiative on that. Right. So if you know that you like certain things, you probably should take the initiative on it to ensure that it is to your standards, girl. Okay. Because we're gonna talk some more about this, but apparently Dr. Eugene told Cecil that he's scared to plan things for Toya because she's so critical. And I get it. As an example, he took her to South Carolina. Immediately, Toya says that ish was horrible, but apparently it was on their bucket list. So he was just following through with something that needed to be, that they had said that they were going to do. And she was like, well, he put me on a horse-driven carriage, and they taught her about history. Now, 5 minutes earlier, she had just said she wanted to be enlightened, but she don't want to learn nothing. Okay. So which is it, girl? Like what do you want to be enlightened about? Again, sometimes you got to be the change you want to see. Because when we get to a future scene in this episode, he's gonna be like, "Well, what you got planned for my day?" And she hemming and hawing and ain't got nothing planned. Meanwhile, um, I'm so glad that they were able to rewind it to her saying she would wanted to be enlightened, and then talked about how she hated history. And even Dr. Simone has to tell Toya she's just unappreciative, and it's baffling to me that unless that man is working 7 days a week, I mean, and even then, I feel like you just got to give him a little bit of grace if he is trying. He may not get there on the first try, but I do think that you get more bees with honey. Okay. That is my philosophy for everything. You can always get more out of people when you are nice to them and when you are encouraging, because then that encourages him to want to do more. But you could sitting around complaining like a little spoiled brat. I mean, you are a fine little spoiled brat. I ain't gonna lie. I mean, I saw her in that new confessional. I was like, now, I mean, it looked like she had lost some weight too or something. I was like, and don't take that to me. You ain't got to be a certain size to look good. Okay. It's something about to me the confidence with which Toya carries herself. And so I guess I mean, maybe Toya need to hang out with Mia. Okay. Or maybe not. Maybe she do, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know. But I'm just saying, I'm looking at the differences between the two women, right? It seems as though Mia's like, yeah, I like the finer things, I like the nice things, but based on the way her new man talk, like if she wanted, she gonna find a way to get it. And I'm just feeling like Toya is just kind of like sit. Actually, that's a bad comparison because they don't. I mean, it's not the same thing. But I'm just thinking about two things that I've heard today, and I'm just kind of looking at it like, girl, like you just sitting around wallowing on the tennis court on a gold plated tennis court, and you just sitting around complaining in your big house in your big mansion with your tennis girlfriends and your fancy jewelry and fancy trips, and you just living such a hard life. Meanwhile, Down to Smiles by Dr. Heavenly, T.S. Madison is in the mother freaking building. If you know me, you know I'm a huge fan of T.S. Madison. I DJ'd for Madison probably, oh my God, at this point, it's probably been a decade ago here when I lived in DC before. Um, I just feel like that's just somebody who continues to pave, like just continues to blaze new trails, and I'm always so excited when I see new things that TS is doing, and the fact that she opens doors for people. That's a big thing for me, and I'm glad that Married to Medicine had the gall and the balls to explore, and really allow someone who like TS Madison, who is well known in her own right, the opportunity to also come onto the platform to speak and advocate for the trans community as well. I think that it's super important. And I feel like it allows, different types of people to be seen. And I think that that's amazing. So kudos to Married to Medicine. To me, was firing on all cylinders of what makes the show successful in this episode. I mean, minus a couple of Mariah and Dr. Heavenly altercations, but they hit the right notes in terms of the doctoring, okay, in this specific episode, in a lot of different facets. There are two scenes that I feel like really set this show apart. And that was the scene with Dr. Jackie, who was meeting with a breast cancer survivor, who we learned was morbidly obese according to her BMI, with high cholesterol, and Dr. Jackie recommended semaglutide, cemente, Solomon, whatever this S word is. Okay, which apparently makes you feel full. And I wrote, is this an Ozempic like medication? And it turns out that it is. Okay. It can also cause, complications of constipation and headaches. But I suppose if you are trying to lose the weight rather quickly, then maybe a little bit of constip and a headache is probably the least of your worries. However, if you are trying to lose weight and you are constipated, I don't know how much that's helping you in your endeavors. Okay. And so maybe I'm sure there's a fix for that. I don't know. The second scene that I feel like is what makes this show so different is the scene with Dr. Simone meeting with Rashida. Not put it on to make you want to marry me. Not that one, but this is another lady who apparently lost weight with the Similac, and then they discuss the fact that you can't take the Similac once you get close to pregnancy. Okay, so we really are getting an education on Ozempic and Similac uh, medications that are technically maybe used for something else, like the diabetes, in which Dr. Simone also highlighted the controversy surrounding Ozempic, in the sense that people who are diabetic are in need of this medication and can't get it because all the people taking it to lose the weight. Okay, so I don't know it what's the rooter to the tutor. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Is there a drought of Ozempic because all the people are taking it to lose the weight, or yeah, I mean, it must be that. So okay. Um. Anyway, they also tackled Georgia abortion laws and the heartbeat bill, which I guess once there's a heartbeat that's detected, then you can't get your the thing. And so you would have to travel across state lines. So I did like that they highlighted these things, because what I'm looking for, and I noticed that a lot of people, were like, well, when I talked about the last episode being kind of like, yeah, Sleepy Joe, a lot of people were like, well, all y'all want is to see the people fighting, and that's not it. It can be an episode. I just want to learn new things. You know what I'm saying? I want to see new things when I'm watching the episode, or make me laugh in a different way. Every episode ain't got to be hair pulling and bottle throwing. Well, I guess this ain't really the Zeus. No shade to the Zeus people at all. Please, I mean, don't take it as such, Nene. I'm just simply saying that every episode ain't got to be screaming and yelling and hair pulling and things like that. Or hitting nobody upside the head with a pocketbook, or a frying pan. So anyway, Toya and Eugene take the kids to the dentist, and then go to Dr. Heaven. It looks like Toya, again, like I said, has lost some weight. I mean, is it Similac? I don't know. Or it could just be all those hours on the tennis court. Okay. And she looks amazing. Okay. There's a conversation about whether or not girls prefer jocks. And it sometimes, when I'm looking at online, and probably I probably should not use Instagram as a barometer for anything in life. However, comma.org, it does seem like there is this inclination, and I think this may be a younger person thing in general, where it seems like the young crowd tends to go after the jocks, as Toya says, or the people with the best bodies, or the bad boys and stuff like that. And it's always so interesting to me. I feel like those are people that you have relations with when you're young, and you really don't get serious with them. Am I wrong? Am I like I'm just having a real conversation here. Like, let's have a real talk. These seem like the type of people that, I mean, like, do you take them seriously, or do you just say, look, you look great, you do, but you ain't hitting on nothing. I mean, you ain't. Are you about anything? I think it's a difference when you run into somebody who is, and that could be a general. Maybe I'm generalizing or something like that. But don't it always seem like that? The good girls like the bad boys. I don't know. Y'all let me know. Anyway, Eugene reveals that he took Toya on a date to the kids, and he's like, "Well, when are you taking me on a date?" And she's like, and for Toya, she's like, "Well, I carry." I mean, basically, she's like, "Well, I carried your kids. Can you do that?" Okay, I'm gonna let go. I'm gonna let go and let God. Okay. Anyway, she reveals that she's having all these issues with Eugene because she's worried about what happens when the kids leave for college. Them boys, how old is them boys? Okay. Girl, you got a couple of more years before you got to worry about them boys going off to college. You whining and complaining now about something that could potentially happen in about 5 to 8 years. So you are living in a fear of something that ain't even happened. Talking about y'all need to rediscover each other, but you can't even tell him what it is that you want in a date. Girl, where is Phaedra? Can somebody tell me, riddle me this? Where is Phaedra? Was she getting her blonde wig done this entire episode? Anyway, Sweet Tea, yes, T. Sweet Tea goes to visit, she go to visit that doctor again with that don't really have that the good bedside man. I don't know what it is about this doctor that I just be feeling like she just be so dry. Girl, yeah, you got to have the surgery. I don't know. You might be able to get pregnant. You might not. I don't know. We're gonna have to take that thing up out of you. Yep. Hold on to your horses. When you want to schedule this thing, girl? So thank God Dr. G is with her because I do feel like he is very much supportive of her journey. There's a lot of talk about whether or not she knew about her condition before. And I think it's an interesting conversation, especially when we talk about the idea that black women, okay, are not potentially being seen or heard with the same level of concern as other women, okay? And then we're talking about maternal mortality rates. And again, it is about oftentimes listening to the experience of the black woman when it comes to was happening when they're talking about their issues that they're having. It stands to reason to me that perhaps Sweet Tea may not have known what her issue was because maybe no one had ever really diagnosed it correctly before. I don't know this to be certain. I'm simply judging this based on what we're seeing in the episodes. Every episode has been maternal mortality. Dr. Kamala, Dr. Jackie, and even when it wasn't, on the screen, it was on the Instagram because everybody was going in about Dr. Jackie allegedly was saying basically that talking about some black women making up things or alluding to them making up things so they can get out of work when they're expecting, and it really feeds back into this idea that they're not being heard. How do we know she wasn't experiencing a back pain and no one is attributing this to an inside parts issue, so she don't know until she get to the doctor? So I think that I don't know, and that I could be wrong. Okay, I'm just saying it's I think it's a little um I don't think it's necessarily fair to really judge that, because it could be presumably said that she could have thought that it was going to be easy for her to conceive. I don't know. I'm just playing devil's advocate right now, right? Especially in light of what the episode is generally about. Also, I thought to myself, isn't it such a stark contrast to see Dr. G's response to the idea of potentially not being able to, you know, have relations with his wife for 6 months? I don't know if that was the implication of the surgery and not being able to conceive for 6 months, that she couldn't do anything for 6 months, but he didn't seem worried about it. And when I look at the contrast between him and Maurice on Love and Marriage Huntsville, with this notion that is he can't be patient with his wife while she is in the recovery, her body is recovering from the trauma of medicines and radiation and all of these things, just to see the disparity in that, it's so nice to know that everybody ain't selfish. No shade, Maurice, because I like Maurice. I actually really do, but I do think that he's selfish, and that could be said. All right. So, Dr. Simone is running through them boys' condo that she paying for with a blue light, looking for semen dripping down from the walls and lurking about. Dr. Jackie is still on the maternal mortality tour, and so she's doing a PSA for all the ladies. Leave your man at home. The club is full of ballers and their pockets full grown. And Dr. Simone and Dr. Heavenly arrived first. And Dr. Heavenly, oh child, fix it, Jesus, fix it like you said you would. Okay. She was having a hard time, baby. Maybe she just woke up. Dr. Simone did read her though and said, ooh, she could barely read, but she can sit up in her closet and read us girls. Anyway, T and Toya arrived, and Toya immediately sits down in the chair thinking she about to go film. And Dr. Simone is like, not on my watch. Speaking of which, here comes Phaedra. Here come the judge. Here come the in this blonde wig. And again, I'm convinced Phaedra just signed on to this show to be fabulous, and that's it, and that's all, nothing more, nothing less. Dr. Jackie moves Toya on out the way, gone, girl, because Dr. Simone not gonna be my friend no more if you don't move. And so Dr. Jackie gets the girls together to be quiet and leave the room because this is important. You is kind, smart, and important. So Toya is complaining now in the back room because anytime she get a chance to complain, she's gonna do so. T reveals to the ladies that she's gonna have to have surgery. And then finally, it is the other ladies' turns to go and do their part in the PS to the A. All the herdsmen, and Curtis is back. Wow, Curtis, hey. And so there's some talk about what is a manly drink or not. Conversations like this always they just really trip me out. Like, what the F is a manly? I mean, I guess you could say maybe like a Manhattan with as nasty as a Manhattan is a manly drink. Or maybe I guess you could say like uh bourbon on the rocks can be a manly drink. But this idea that a man can't drink like a fruity, concoction out of a martini glass is just downright stupid to me. It's stupid. And y'all know I don't even call things stupid. I really don't even try to use this word. Okay. Excuse me. But I just think when you try to attribute, masculinity and femininity to inanimate objects, it just it's just weird to me. Okay. And it is so 1960s. And I that's just how I feel. Like the who says that? Speaking of which, they got these cigars again. Let me tell y'all something. I cannot stand the smell of a cigar. I mean, I think, I don't know. Like, maybe I just ain't gotten into it because I've never smoked one. So, um, but to me, in my mind, now I think that they be sexy when people like if I'm holding one, you know what I'm saying? I think it looks if it's unlit, okay? Because I'm not trying to smell it. Because that smell is I'm somebody that's got allergies. It's very few things that I can actually smell in general, to be honest with y'all. And don't cry for me, Argentina, because I can smell the things that matter, right? When something smells really, really, really good, I can smell it. But in general, like light smells, my allergies, my nose is usually kind of stopped up anyway. So maybe I should have some type of surgery on that. I don't know. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Them things just stink to me. That's it. Mm, mm. So anyway, they Dr. Alicia's husband is really the topic of conversation because he is born in Nigeria and believes that the woman, if his woman is not listening, he's a weak man. The women have been running things for too long, and he refuses to get his ball sack cut. Okay. Now, out of all the things that he said, the ball sack cut was clearly the most harmful thing that he said to Dr. Damon. But I did respect the fact that Dr. Eugene, see, Toya, that's a good man, Savannah, because this man stuck up for women in general. He was like, just looking at pay disparity is one area and aspect with which we can say, really? Like you women are out here having the hardest time, okay? There are people out here who are working actively as we speak to take away women's rights to their own bodies. And you have the unmitigated gall to say that women, okay, sir, you can actually go back to wherever it is, and maybe you would have a better time there because your wife seems to be, I mean, from what little we know of Dr. Alicia, she seems pretty, I mean, amazing. She's good looking, she seems successful. He's got a family and kids. What I mean, this obsession with men being a man being the leader and all of these things, like what are you missing within yourself, oh friend? Like what are you really missing? Because women are not your problem. It sounds like you are your problem. And maybe you should seek therapy for it. Anyway, um, Dr. C, I mean, well, Dr. Cecil, Lord. Cecil just thinks the man is a caveman. And I'm like, yeah, you're right. So anyway, the ladies finished their PSA, and that is the episode. Let me know what you guys thought about it in the comment section down below. Enjoyed this episode for some reason. I mean, it was definitely 10 steps ahead of what we were at last week and the week before. So, but you know, you can every episode can't be ain't gonna be like a wham. Like it ain't gonna be a hit. You know, I was about to say a hit and run. It ain't gonna be a hit. You know, so you sometimes I'll give you a couple of an episode or two where we ain't getting that much, but it seems like we about to get back on track, and I did enjoy it. So y'all let me know what y'all thought about the episode down in the comment section down below, and I will of course catch you all in the next video.